I only have one more question for you, and then I have a couple of personal questions that I want to chit chat about. But the last like structured question is actually, haha, what is your favorite twirling routine of all time?
Okay, so I've had so many favorite routines throughout the years that I did Baton twirling and that I do now. But I think my favorite routine now at this moment, and I've been talking about this with some friends in Norway, because I was there teaching a clinic. So we kind of got into this topic, and it's actually a team routine. It's from a French team that's been on this year's Worlds, which I loved so much. They honestly gave me a feeling usually Japanese only do. So I was kind of like, I was so invested in their routine. I don't know if for sure you've seen it on the competition,
Of course.
but like every little thing that they did, like that carrying that girl over, and then when she dropped the baton to the other girl, I was like, and then at the end when she grabbed her arm, oh, I was like, oh my God, I'm ready to cry. It was just like so emotional for me. So I think that's my favorite routine right now.
Yes, I think it's so hard to choose like a favorite because there's so many incredible routines out there. But I remember specifically watching that routine and feeling so moved by the artistry in it, which we talked about a little bit ago. Um, they just portrayed a story that was so beautiful that really just made you want to like cry while watching it. Every movement was like they were reaching to the moon. Every single thing had a purpose behind it, which was so beautiful to watch.
That's so true. Like the way they move across the floor, the way the creativity in their body work content, like pair content,
Yeah.
that carrying that girl. Oh my gosh, I was beyond excited when I was watching that. So I think that was like that's like my favorite routine, but like in this moment, in this very moment, if because when you think about solos, there's so many great solos out there. It's hard to choose, so I choose team now. I'm like, okay, team.
Yeah. I think that routine was super duper unique as well. I think it was super innovative. I think the choreographer or choreographers, I don't know if it was one person or more than one people putting their creative geniusness into it. But I think they were really reaching for skills and choreography that we had never seen before. And I think they accomplished that to a whole new level. There were so many intricate releases and exchanges and body work that was so new to the eye. Like we had never seen it before. And the routine kind of left you in awe, which was phenomenal to see in person because a lot of routines kind of have the same general content, like big tricks, low contact, a little bit of body work here and there, and exchanges and that kind of material. But theirs was so fresh and new. It was really pleasing to watch.
It was very well thought of, like the concept of the whole routine. I feel like they made it like I don't know how to say it. Like it was so specific. Each moment was so specific. Like
Yeah.
each when the girls would just walk around, when they would do rolls on the ground, I just felt like amazed by all of that. Like truly amazed.
It was such a moving routine. So incredible. And I mean, that covers the 10 main questions I wanted to ask you today. But I have a few bonus ones. The first one being, I want you to tell me a little bit more about twirling in Croatia. I sadly have never traveled to Croatia, but I have friends that attended the last IC and Grand Prix there and said it's so beautiful. But I would like to find out a little bit about your competitions. Do you guys have a lot of competitions in Croatia, or do you have to travel a little bit further to attend them? And are they run similar to like how WFMBTA Worlds would be run, or just give us a little insight?
You know, I'm excited that I can say that in Croatia, there's only one federation. So I love that, because then we can compete for both federations going on to international level. Twirling in we actually have only usually one competition throughout the year, because there's not a lot of unfortunately there's not a lot of people doing baton twirling.
Right.
So our nationals is done in one day, like usually from 9 up to 4, and that's it. So but I feel like we're kind of growing now. We're starting new things. We're doing a national team this year, which I'm very proud of. And we're also starting out with the different kinds of clinics now, with inviting some people over to teach, because at one point we stopped. And I feel like that was mostly because Croatia is more majorette focused. We do have a lot of majorettes. It can be like up to 1,000 people on a competition for majorettes, which is a lot of people for Croatia. So yeah, I feel like we're growing, even though we've been into baton twirling for a long time. We kind of had like ups and downs, but we're trying to grow, and at least I'm going to try to put some effort into that kind of road of Croatia coming more up rather than going down.
I mean, that's what I've really been doing in the United States as well. I mean, we do have a very large amount of twirlers here in the U.S., but people outside of the baton twirling world in the United States don't really know what baton twirling is or have any idea how much it's evolved. So like a lot of people, like when you say, oh, I'm a baton twirler, they correlate it to majorettes who are like marching and parades or doing a little bit more less competitive things. They're doing more of like performance aspect, which is like marching in parades, twirling at football games, which a lot of us competitors still do because we twirl for our schools, which is the most fun thing ever. But a lot of people don't understand that we train so hard and we're competing on a world level, winning gold, silver, and bronze medals, competing against people from all over the world. They have no idea that it's so much more than just what we used to do in parades many years ago. So I've been trying really hard to expand the knowledge of baton twirling within the United States, I mean, and hopefully abroad as well. I mean, I try to get everybody involved, but it's a little bit hard when I live in the U.S., so it's much easier to communicate to the people closest to me. But I just want the whole world to know about our sport and what we do, because I feel like it's so incredible. There's such an incredible family aspect to it. Like no matter where you go, the love and support is endless. Like no matter what, people are congratulating you, wishing you good luck, hoping that you do a good job. And I absolutely love that about our sport. Nobody's ever like, oh, I hope that person messes up so that I can win. I feel like you very rarely see that in our sport of baton twirling, which I think will make it so much easier for other people to fall in love, because there's not as much rivalry between people. It's more of a loving family environment, which I love. It's much easier to have competitors, but also make friendships that will last a lifetime.
Yeah, and it is also like you're competing against yourself almost, like just being better than you were maybe last time on your competition. And I totally agree about that family aspect. When I get to Worlds or Europeans, it doesn't matter. It is all like when I just walk through the halls, and it's like, oh, hey, how are you? And it's kind of like nice going into conversations with such different people from such different places. And also about like spreading baton twirling around. I did get a chance to do that actually. I was I think it was 2010. It was Croatia's Got Talent competition, and I mainly entered the competition to kind of spread the word about baton twirling. It was such nobody knew about baton twirling, absolutely nobody, and I got a chance to kind of like a little bit, just push it a little bit more up, which I'm very, very, very happy about that I actually did that. So more people know in Croatia what baton twirling is. We're such a small country, and it's such a great sport, and I feel like they should know about it.
Yeah, I mean, even something that might seem so little can do so much outreach. Like, it can reach so many people who would have never have seen baton twirling before, but of course they watch Croatia's Got Talent because who wouldn't? I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody watches America's Got Talent, so I'm sure it's the same where you live. I think it's a great way to get people to know about our sport, really, and I think it's really incredible that you got to do that. I do have a question about that, actually. Now, competing on a gym floor is very different, and when you were on Croatia's Got Talent, I'm sure you were on a stage, correct?
That's right.
Twirling on a stage with stage lights is very different. Tell me a little bit about how you had to adjust for that.
Well, it was very difficult, honestly, because the stage, you know, when you see it on TV, I was like, okay, the stage is going to be super huge, and there's not going to be anything up there that's going to mess my routine up. But at the end, I had to kind of adjust my routine towards those space issues, I guess. It was kind of like a smaller space, which was actually okay, because then I could I just adjusted my routine towards that. It is different because then it's live and it's on TV, which was very scary for me. I've never done live things like that before, but we had like a great crew around, so it was good. They kind of understood the problems I had, because I had to toss my batons up in the air, and it could like hit a light up there or something, which would usually happen when we would rehearse our shows. It would usually happen like that. Like I would have a ton of drugs, and then when we would go to live shows, then it would just work out. I don't know. It was very nice because the crowd was also very cheery, and we talked about that. You just get a very good feeling with that as well.
Yes, it's actually really funny that you said that when you were rehearsing, things weren't working, but when you had to do it on the live show, it worked. I've had a lot of people tell me that I'm a pressure twirler, which basically means I twirl really well under a lot of pressure. Pressure pushes me to do better. It doesn't make me like get super nervous and shut down. Where I feel like for some people it does. It's weird because I always liked the pressure. Like I always wanted people to tell me like, just go out there and do good. You got it. And like when people would tell me that, I'd walk on the floor twice as confident, which was great. And I never realized that like other people didn't necessarily do that. I just thought that was like normal until people started pointing out to me that like, you love being under pressure. And I was like, yeah, who wouldn't? Like you're in this sport, you're under pressure every time you take the floor. Like that's like part of the thrill. That's what gets your adrenaline going, which is like the fun part, really.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And then the feeling when you come out on the floor and you still have that pressure. Well, at least for me, it's like I still have the pressure when I'm like setting my baton to where it needs to be and setting my pose. And then when the music starts, you're just like a totally different person. It all kind of goes away, and you're just like, I don't know. I forget everything. I don't think about anything at all while I was performing my freestyles or rhythmic twirl, and that was kind of like a like a reassurance that I should be doing this, you know, like to entertain and to just showcase people what I've worked on so hard. And then when I'm on the floor, I just don't think about it. I just do it. It was like it's super exciting to like think about that moment when you just are on the floor and not thinking about anything. You don't remember anything afterwards, maybe. It's just great.
Yeah, it's crazy that like you could be so excited, like you could feel your heart beating really, really fast right before like you start your routine. But the second that music cuts on, you almost feel at home. It's like where you're meant to be.
Yes, 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 yes. You know, but I would say that when I would do my solo routines, the only thing I would remember from my solos were the judges' faces. And then I would know which judge was like, okay, she was smiling, okay, he was not smiling, or something like that. Also, when I was doing my short program, I could see one lady like count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because
That's
of the yeah. It was I just remembered those moments and nothing at all, nothing else.
it's crazy what we like remember or think about while we're on the floor. Random stuff sometimes.
Yeah, usually, yeah. I honestly don't know what I'm thinking about. I'm just kind of in the moment. I feel like for sure there are stuff going through my head, but it might be like I'm sleeping, you know, and dreaming, and then you don't remember anything. It might be like that a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, that covers all the questions I have for you, but I want to find out if you have any questions for me today.
Oh my gosh, that's okay. Questions for you. Well, we covered like a lot of stuff now, but you know what? I want to know how do you manage to do all of this that you do in one day? Because you kind of answered my messages at 1 a.m. and I was like, does she ever sleep?
No, not really. So, because of the time change, I actually had to get up at 5 o'clock this morning, so that I could shower to get my day started, really, and then get ready for this interview and set up everything. And last night, I did not go to bed until 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm right now on like 2.5 hours of sleep, which I'm sure you can tell in the video because I probably look a hot mess. But my days are pretty crazy, quite honestly, because in the mix of baton twirling, school, and family stuff, I also dance a lot. So I take a lot of dance classes and I teach a lot in dance. So I teach some in twirling, but I definitely teach more in the dance community because I'm no longer competing in the dance community. So I have very, very, very structured days, kind of like timed out for each thing. So a lot of times I'm up really late at night studying for school because dance obviously happens in the evenings most of the time. So I won't get off work until about 9 or 9:30. I'll get done teaching. I'll get home around 10, eat a little meal because I'll be teaching when dinner time normally happens. Eat a little snack and get ready to do my schoolwork and such. So I normally won't go to bed until about 12 or 1 o'clock on a good night. Sometimes it's a little bit later than that. And during the days, I have school some days, and then other days I'm training during the day. I spend a lot of time in my house working my low material because the best gym near me is a little bit far away. So when I don't have enough time to drive all the way there and train for a little bit, I try to do my low material or my rolls in my house or outside my house. But quite honestly, it's really structured. I don't really have a lot of free time to hang out with friends per se, unless it's like on the weekends after a practice where I don't have to teach dance or anything. I try to squeeze in some relaxation then. And Fridays are pretty much my only day off. And sometimes I do get called in to teach dance on those nights as well. So it's a little bit of a challenge sometimes, but I manage it. I don't know how, but I guess I figured out the perfect method to the madness.
I was also now wondering, because when you were saying about not being able to fit your friends in, how do you cope with that? I remember when I was like a hardcore twirling, when I was younger, I didn't have time for like anything. And then people would be like, why are you still doing this sport? You don't have time for anything. And I love that sport so much that I didn't mind like skipping going out for getting rest for like Sunday's practice, for instance. So how do you cope with that then?
Well, I guess I've kind of been used to it my whole life. Being on the Wheaton Dance World teams, we have a pretty rigorous team schedule for practices as well. And those really consumed my weekends a lot of the time. So I was used to not having much free time on the weekend. And now I really have the option. I could completely turn down my opportunities to teach dance, and then I would have a little bit more free time. But ultimately, I'm making the decision to spend my time with my dance students as well. So, I mean, to cope with it, really, the friendships that I have are within the dance community
Nice.
and baton twirling. So I spend a lot of my time with them because I'm spending a lot of my time dancing or twirling. And when I did go to school, I have friends there as well. But it's a little bit harder because I don't get to see them while I'm there. I only see them while I'm there. I don't see them outside of school, really, which can be a little hard sometimes because they'll invite me to hang out or go see a movie or something, and I'll have to say, I'm sorry, I have to teach or I have training or something. That normally conflicts, but I mean, I really choose my priorities, and I'm really grateful to have an incredible relationship with my family. So when I'm home, I'd really rather be home in my free time and spending it with my family than necessarily going to the movies with my friends because I am so busy. It's nice to spend my free time relaxed in the comfort of my home with my family and loved ones. So
Yeah. The thing was when I was younger, so baton twirling was not known to Croatia at all. So it was really difficult to explain how much time you actually need to practice baton twirling and how much dedication you have to just keep going and being in kind of in trend, let's say, and not start being old-fashioned in some ways. So I would also have to skip like a lot of birthday parties, like going out parties and stuff like that. But I was very lucky enough to have friends. Like I have this, he's my best friend, and he was a dancer too. So he understood that you need time and you have to sacrifice a certain amount of time to accomplish something. So I was very kind of, I guess, lucky to have such friends, and they would support me a lot. So that kind of helped with me not being there because I knew that they're supporting me and that they know that why I'm not there.
yeah, I mean, that's really important to I always felt like it was quality, not quantity. So my friend groups have always been pretty small, but I was really fortunate because those few people I had in my friend group were super understanding and really knew the dedication I had for my sport and what it took. Like I had sometimes brought friends to competitions so that they would be able to see what I did so that they'd understand a little bit better and know why I would miss a birthday party or wouldn't be able to go roller skating one night or something like that, like why I would have to miss things. Because I mean, baton twirling is a really hard sport and it takes a lot of practice. So I mean, once they watched me twirl, they like totally understood, which I think was
That's very true. And then you get a lot of baton twirling friends, and you stay in contact with them, even though they're like miles and miles apart, which is kind of very weird situation because I have like some of my best friends are not from Croatia at all, so that's kind of it's like a night, I don't know, I just feel humbled that I have that.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Like when I tell people like, yeah, I was FaceTiming my friend from Japan last night. They're like, what? Like I talk to my friends from Italy, my friends from France, my friends from Japan almost on a daily basis. Like those friendships will last me a lifetime and I'm so grateful for them. And I mean, they understand like how busy our life is, like my life is because they're living basically the same life. So it's really cool for sure.
Yeah, that's true. You know, also wanted to ask you, what is your favorite routine of all time? Because you asked me that, and I'm really now wondering, what is yours?
This is such a hard question. I've actually never really thought about this too much. And I mean, it's so hard to pick a favorite. I mean, if I'm picking them based on like different like groupings maybe, so like the most entertaining routine or like the most moving routine or something like that, I think it'll be a little bit easier. So let me try to choose the little categories. So let's see. I think probably one of the most entertaining routines I've ever watched is a freestyle of Stacey Singer's when she was much younger. It was her very first World Championships, and she actually won gold at the WBTF World Championships. I believe it was, I don't want to give the wrong date, so I'm not going to give a date at all. But it was a very fast-paced routine. And I can only imagine how hard it was to get through that routine. And being so young with such a large amount of pressure being put on her and having such a high demand routine, she wore a pink costume and had a ponytail. And she never ran out of energy for the entire routine and did so many hard tricks throughout the entire thing. So like, I can only imagine if I tried to do that routine, I'd probably be like passed out on the floor afterwards, no joke. But she made it through the whole routine with like just as much energy as she started as when she finished. So I would have to choose that routine probably as the most entertaining. Like it kept me like engaged the entire time, which was really fun to watch. And then probably the most moving. I'm probably going to have to mimic your answer for this. And the team from this past WBTF Worlds, absolutely moving, such a beautiful routine. I mean, we talked about it a lot earlier, so I don't want to go into too much detail, but just gut-wrenching. And another moving routine that I liked was Japan's team routine from 2016 WBTF Worlds, To Imagine. That song holds a special place in my heart, especially now. It was one of my grandmother's favorite songs, and she actually passed away earlier this year. So looking back and watching that routine, it's really moving because I have a little bit of extra emotions going into that as well. So, yeah, I mean, any other questions?
You know, I actually wanted to add on to something that we talked earlier about. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Like
totally.
about twirling friends. Like ever since I started my kind of like friendship with this Italian coach Peter. I would get a chance to kind of learn everything alongside another amazing athlete that inspired me a lot when we were kind of twirling together as well. Elisa Gregory, I don't know if you know her. She's been also an amazing motivation for me because when I saw her twirl, she just didn't give up at all. And to have friends like that, you easily connect. You can easily connect with them then. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I got to know her and to twirl with her for, I think it was like about 4 years or so. like each summer I would go there for Peter to make the choreography, and then we would spend a lot of time together, and it was just an amazing experience.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I absolutely love all of my friends from Italy, France, and everything. I actually got to talk to Peter a little bit this past Worlds, and I told him that I was mortally terrified of him because he looked so scary. And he told me that he's a teddy bear and gave me a hug. So that was really fun because warming up and like when he's coaching his students, he like has the crossed arms and like the head down position. He looks really intimidating and kind of scary, but he's actually really, really nice. So I was really fortunate to speak with him and get to know him a little bit better as well, which was really cool and a great experience for me as well.
That actually kind of leads me to another question I wanted to ask you about your coaches. Who are they and how do you work with them?
Well, there's a lot of hands that go into my choreography aspect. So a lot of the routines that I compete, so for say solo, Baton, and rhythmic twirl freestyle, my coach for those is Dale White. He does all of my choreography and changes and spot lessons and stuff, although we don't live very close to each other, so I have to see him every few months or like once or twice a month if it's like a not very busy month. I get to see him a little bit more. But for rhythmic twirls and freestyles, there's also extra hands that go into that as well. So Mr. Mark Nash, he has always helped with my choreography as well. He's incredible. And of course, I get to put a little bit of my own flair in there, which I love. Sometimes when you're learning a routine or something, because it's yours and you know what's comfortable, you can kind of say, well, this feels really comfortable to go into next, and what about this flip here, or stuff like that. So you get to put your own little flair on things because after all, it is yours and you know what's going to be most comfortable for you. And my mom probably won't like this, but I give a lot of credit to my mom as well. When I am not feeling comfortable with something that's in my routine and I won't have the opportunity to see Dale or Mark and say I have a competition coming up, my mom will sit with me and help me resolve the situation, the issue, and try to either fix whatever's not working or change it to make it a little bit easier. So she's kind of my rock. She helps me a lot with that kind of stuff. And then my extra choreography happens a lot from Miss Kathy Harris. I'm sure you know her. She helps a lot at World Championships for WF MBTA, and Ann Kennedy as well. She does a little bit of my strut choreography, and she kind of maintains my routines in the gym because I see her on a weekly basis every week in the gym. So she'll kind of check up on my routines every once in a while to make sure that they're progressing and improving over time. But it really takes a village. There's so many people who collaborate and make everything work, really.
Yeah, I think that also helps with you being such an amazing person and amazing baton twirler as well. You get so many insights into from so many different people, which I would go crazy if I had all of that. But I feel like in the USA, it's kind of like a different type of thing. With coaching, you know, you get to have so many different ideas from one coach and then put some ideas from another coach. And I really love that. The one thing I'm sorry about is that I didn't get a chance to like work like that. For instance, I was always like the teacher on a clinic, for instance. So I didn't get a chance to get lessons from other people, and then maybe, you know, they could see my routine and put their own stuff in. So I kind of feel sad about that part. But I did love the experience of teaching, so you don't get me wrong. And I totally agree about the mom part, because my mom was also, she's not a dancer or anything, but she was with me since the beginning. And she's been in the gym like every time, she would wait for me for 2 or 3 hours until I finished. So over the years, she kind of got a lot of input So she would
Yeah.
know what's right, what's not right. And it was also like that, you know, when I wasn't feeling comfortable with something, I was like, do you think this looks good, mom? And then she would be like, okay, do it again. And then I would, and then she would like, oh, I don't like it, or, you know, I love it, or something like that. And then I could kind of figure it out with my coaches then later on to put like my mom's insight in the routine
Yeah.
again.
Well, my mom was actually a baton twirler when she was younger. So I'm a third generation baton twirler. So my grandmother twirled baton and my mom twirled batons. So it's kind of been in my blood. So my mom competed baton twirling. She also competitively did ballroom dance. That's how my mom and my dad met. So we have a very creative family. Music kind of like runs in our blood. We move to it really naturally, feel it really naturally, because basically everyone in my family grew up dancing. My mom twirling, and then ballroom dancing, and my dad ballroom dancing. So I mean,
It was bound to happen, right?
yeah, destiny.
Also, I've started baton twirling, like my sisters were in the majorette group, and they were also baton twirlers. And over the years, they felt like it was too much, so they gave up. And it's funny to actually see that I'm the youngest one in the family, and also a guy, a boy, and that I kept going through all these years.
That's kind of funny. Breaking the stereotypes, right?
That's right. That's right.
But I mean, do you have any final questions for me?
You know what? We've basically done a ton of questions now. I feel like there's not much to. Oh, I know. Like when you're competing, when you're going to a competition, international competition, do you get a chance to actually visit the countries you're in, like the city where the event is, the venue is?
Well, most of the time, yes. It's more of like our personal preference, so we don't have to stay in tour. But normally, we travel to the competition probably like 3 or 4 days before the competition starts, and that's really getting used to the time change and getting used to our surrounding areas. So like we know what we're getting into and stuff. But normally after the competition ends, we try to stay for a week after to do a lot of touring. So at my first WF MBTA Worlds in 2012, we went to Switzerland, and that was where the competition was held. And after the competition, we went to Budapest, Hungary, Austria, all of those lovely places. We got to tour a lot there. And then in 2015's Italy, we did Rome and Venice and Pompeii, which was pretty fun. And then in Norway, we toured to Ireland after. So we did Dublin and like everything that was in Dublin. So we did like the Blarney Stone, a bunch of castles and stuff like that. It was so much fun. So normally we do get to stay a little extra and tour, but it really depends on where the competition's held. If there's not a lot of touristy things to do nearby, sometimes we won't stay as long after, or we'll fly to like another country to tour, but it depends really. Most of the time, yes.
Yeah, but that's also one part of baton twirling that's amazing, that you get to visit so many countries as well. Which some sports, like in Croatia, for instance, you have to get in such a high level before you can get out of this creation environment. So I really love that also about baton twirling. But now I'm hopping from topic to topic. But you said about those superstitions at the beginning. So now I'm wondering, I think I saw a video about it that you talked about a little bit about the superstitions, but I'm not sure. I was wondering about what are their superstitions before you go on the competition floors? Do you have it? Do you have them?
Oh yes, I have them. I have a nice list of them. I'm very superstitious, which is crazy because I work so hard that you think I'd just trust my training by the time I compete. But there's certain things that I absolutely have to do. So there's one towel that I use, and it is my lucky towel, and I've used it since I think 2013. So it's looking a little old and raggedy now, but it will not go anywhere. It's lucky. And there's a specific way I have to like wipe off my baton. So like the steps go, I wipe off my baton, set my baton on the floor, and I sit down for the entire set before I take the floor. I have to be sitting. So I'm sitting on the floor and I'm just like rubbing my hands on my towel like this. And I'm just kind of sitting there. And then like I'm watching the person before me. Once they get to their horizontal section, so like they're nearing the end of their solo, I can stand up, but I'm not allowed to pick up my baton yet. There's a specific way I have to wipe my hands before I take the floor. Like I have to like do like in between each finger and then like the palms of my hands again. And then I set my towel down. I tap the bottoms of my shoes, pick up my baton, and walk on the floor.
That's hilarious.
It's quite
It's such a huge process though.
I don't know. I mean, there's sometimes that I don't do it, and like I perform the exact same. So like in Norway, I didn't sit down before I took the floor. I just kind of like was warming up and like doing flips and stuff. And like I performed fine. But sometimes I got to sit down and like do the whole ritual, you know.
Right. So does your mom usually go with you on competitions always?
Yes, she almost always goes. She, no matter what, she wants to be there to see me perform because she says it's like the light of her life. She loves watching me do what I love. So she never wants to miss a competition, which I absolutely love. It's so incredible that she's so supportive and literally goes everywhere with me. I love it. Sometimes there's maybe a conflict with work or something, and then I'll have to go by myself or I'll go with friends or something. But I mean, I'm pretty self-sufficient. Like I can drive, do my own hair, do my own makeup, do all the simple stuff. So I mean, I can do everything if she wasn't there, but I definitely like having her there too. Oh, I forgot to do this. There in my superstitions ritual, there's a handshake I have to do with my mom. That's like lucky. And I have to do it every time before I take the floor. So like, say I'm at the World Championships and it's like quite the process to get up into the stands to your parent, you know? There's about like 10 sets before I take the floor. And I will like go run the stairs to my mom so that I can get a handshake before I take the floor. And I normally blow her a kiss and do like the I love you right as I take the floor or like right before I walk on the floor. It's just like a thing.
And yeah. It's a very nice thing though. Very, very, very sweet. And yeah, it's very sweet. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, a lot of people, like, if you go back and look at the video from the WBTF World Championships, at the end of my finals freestyle, I blow a kiss to my mom. And people have asked me, like, who are you blowing a kiss to? I'm like, my mom, of course. But yeah, so she's my heart and soul. I love her.
Yeah, it's the same with, well, I didn't have like superstitions, like superstitions, not superstition, like a habit like that before a competition ever. So I guess I was just used to not doing anything before. So that's why while growing up, I just didn't have any superstitions at the end. But my mom was at a lot of competitions with me, like up to, I think 2013. And then, it's just been, she had to do a lot of other stuff after that point, so she couldn't come with me on the competition. But I also have another question if there's still time.
Oh, of course.
I know that you, you usually travel somewhere for a competition. Do you do certain like stuff to raise some money or something to get funds for that competition? How does that work? Because I feel like for us it's easier because it's always usually always in Europe. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
now I'm wondering if you do like maybe something Baton twirling related to kind of raise some money to go for certain competitions, international ones.
Well, a lot of people do some type of fundraising. They maybe like a car wash or something along those lines to raise money for their travels. But I personally have never done that. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I maybe lack time to set up a fundraiser. But I've been very fortunate that my parents kind of make anything happen for me. So if I say to them, like, I'm working really hard to qualify for this world championships, they'll say, well, if you keep working hard, we'll make it happen. And that's something I'm forever grateful for. I mean, I have been so fortunate. I've never had to like, I don't know how to explain it. I've never had to like, I don't know. They kind of just make it happen, really. I don't ask too many questions. But my dad will just come home and be like, when's the payment due? And just have money by then. He works overtime. He does a bunch of extra stuff. So, I mean, I guess in ways he fundraises, but not by like specific fundraising.
Parents are the best. Parents are the best. I feel like in Croatia now, some parents are not like this, like your parents or my parents. They kind of well, in Croatia at least, they kind of don't want to invest too much in their kids in this way for some unknown reason. I really don't know why. And maybe like we discussed this, maybe that's also one of the reasons why Croatian, like at least in our club, some Croatian twirlers give up because they don't have that support from their parents. Doesn't necessarily have to be like a financial support, just like a support in general. And I feel like, and for sure you as well, lucky enough to have parents who are super like invested in what you do, and they just want you to see you succeed. And I'm forever grateful for that because I wouldn't have a life that I have right now without them.
Same here. I mean, words do not describe like how incredible my parents are. I don't even understand how they make everything I do happen. To like think about the fact that I do both organizations, WF MBTA and WBTF, and I am fortunate enough to be successful in both, which means I have to travel to world championships for both of them. Plus I'm attending Grand Prix this year. So there's all sorts of international travels that are happening that are not cheap. So I think they're basically magicians because I don't know where they get this money from, but they work overtime and just really make everything happen for me. And I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what I would do without them. I definitely wouldn't be the person I am without them, for sure.
Yeah, true. I feel like in Croatia we're lacking that a little bit. I don't know why, but I really feel like parents are more focused on just the kids being good in school, and that's it. Like that's their goal. But I would really want like parents like I had like an truly amazing. I have truly amazing parents who are beyond anything I can say. And I see that that's the same thing with you as well. And for sure, they're a huge part of our success then.
Yes, definitely. All right. Thank you so much for joining me in this interview today. I had the most incredible time. We talked for just about 2 hours. I absolutely loved talking to you today. I loved getting to know you a little bit better. And I mean, getting to hear like your insights on everything was so amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an amazing interview. I'm so honored that I actually got to talk to the legend itself, Laney, and I hope we can get to do stuff like this sometime soon. I really love your YouTube videos. I love your bloopers, and yeah, I'm just grateful that you decided to invite me to join you on this this chat.
Oh, well, the honor is all mine. Thank you so much for like agreeing. And I'm always a little bit nervous to ask international people because I know English isn't your first language. So I was really excited that you said yes and that you were so willing to chit chat with me. I had the most incredible time today. So thank you again so much.
You're welcome. Thank you as well.
If you liked today's video, go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up and hit that big red subscribe button and take it away, Tihomir.
Nemojte zaboraviti stisnuti sviđa mi se i kliknuti na ovaj crveni gumb pretplati se.